What a week that has been if you're a Nottingham Forest fan. And it's only Friday. We've got 2 more days left. Wow. Now this, was supposed to be a nice week to be a Forest fan. We had a signing to announce. The players had returned to training. Well, all of those who weren't on international duty. And we had our first pre-season fixture lined up for the following Saturday. And in between all of that, our home shirt would have been released. And it all started well. We announced our first signing of the summer, the Botafogo striker Igor Jesus, or Igor Jesus, coming off the back of a fruitful Club World Cup campaign where he scored against Seattle Sounders and PSG. And at the time of writing, or the time of recording, he is the only player to have scored past PSG in that tournament. During this time, Newcastle had re-emerged, trying to take Elanga from us once again after they failed to sign him last season, and they started off by bidding less than they bid last season. Not sure what they're thinking there. We held out for 60 million, which is a fee that we've reportedly received, and have greenlit Elanga to join Newcastle. I'm not happy about that, I'm not gonna lie. I thought that he was immense for us, especially in the second half of the season, and he really played to our strengths, especially his blistering speed on the counter. It was a very, very useful tool for us, and that showed in his performances. I thought he was going to go up another level next season and help us, especially with our European exploits as well. But for whatever reason, we decided to let him go. And apparently he didn't want to leave the club either, which is even stranger. Why would we sell a player who doesn't want to go anywhere? But we did get a record fee for him. It's a record fee that we've received for a player. So I guess it's not all bad. And I would have faith in our recruitment team to source a good replacement for him. Well, it's going to hurt seeing him leave because I really did like him. You will be missed, our Swedish prince. You will be missed. But hey, selling him, selling a few fringe players means we won't have to sell any of our other important players. Right? Right? Well, fast forward to Thursday, or yesterday, and at 9 AM, Nottingham Forest dropped a teaser for our new home shirt. This is it, ladies and gentlemen. We are finally going to see our home kit officially. It contained footage of some ice skaters, I think it's Torval and Dean if I'm not mistaken, images of the old power station stacks, and, community members and some old ladies at the end of the video. It had all the makings of a quality announcement video when it finally dropped, and we only needed to wait 9 hours to see it. I'm sure nothing would go catastrophically wrong in that time, right? Oh fuck. Tottenham Hotspur Football Club decided to trigger a supposed £60 million release clause that we apparently had on Morgan Gibbs White for some unknown reason. This was after Manchester City had been looking at signing Gibbs White at the start of the window, but just deemed him too expensive. This is Manchester City we're talking about here. Something doesn't seem quite right here. And this is especially shocking as not a single fan knew that this release clause existed. You can go through tweets from when this news broke. Not a single person was aware there was a £60 million release clause for Morgan Gibbs White. A player, mind you, that we signed for about £42.5 million add-ons included, all of which he's probably hit by this point. So that's like a 12 million profit on a player of that caliber and of that importance. Who the hell inserted such a low release clause for such an important player? Maybe it was inserted when we first signed him, and fair enough, but it's still a very low release clause for the amount we paid. Something just isn't right. And he's also been reportedly not signing a contract extension either, so that's just even more fishy. But yeah, you've got this release clause that nobody knew about, and then suddenly, out of nowhere, Tottenham are not only aware of this release clause, but have triggered it as well, swooping in hours before our home kit is set to be released. Brilliant stuff. Honestly, just amazing. And as you can imagine, Forest Twitter just imploded. And rightfully so. The club then released the shirt, but unfortunately it did not go down too well, with many Forest fans unhappy with all this Morgan Gibbs White news swirling around. It's sad though, because the shirt we've released is absolutely phenomenal. It's one of the best kits that Forest have had in recent memory, because that thing is phenomenal, and there's no Cayenne Sport either. So that's just even better. The mantra, or like the tagline of this shirt's release was, "In the roots, in the fabric, in the stripes." But the actual video we received to go along with the kit announcement left a lot to be desired. It's almost as if a certain player was heavily involved in this kit reveal, you know, our captain by chance. And yet, when the video was released, there is no reference to the ice skating, or the smokestacks, or even those two old ladies. Just some very strange changing room footage that feels really odd and almost cobbled together from the remains of what would have been a far better video. And this is also exemplified in the original header that Nottingham Forest had put on their socials. It had Morgan Gibbs White, it had Nico Williams with the stacks, and it had Stuart Pearce. None of that appeared in the video. So where did it go? They didn't just go there for some pictures. The video just feels really odd, and you can almost tell that it's been chopped and changed to try and salvage some form of a release video. And with such a shirt releasing, you know, a new history is the neckline. It's the tagline of the shirt. It should have been an epic video relating to the history of Nottingham and the history of Nottingham Forest. But we didn't get that. It feels very, very lacking. And that header I referred to just a few seconds ago, that was taken down and quickly replaced with this one. So something's definitely going on there. And may I remind you, this is the same Morgan Gibbs White that is not only our club captain, but also said this.
And there's no other place than Forest I'd rather play.
All in all, it's just one big mess. People were already unhappy that we were selling Alanga, a player that didn't want to leave, and have now been made even more unhappy, even more frustrated that one of our core players, one of our most important nailed-on starters, has been gagging for a move since the summer window opened. Now that was with City. Apparently personal terms were agreed, but the transfer fee was just a stumbling block. I don't know what's happened. I wasn't in the meetings. But he's now agreed a move to Spurs, a team that finished 17th last season. I know they won a trophy, but they finished 17th. They would have been relegated if any of the promoted teams had any balls about them. And things were also made worse by the apparent lack of transfer activity that Forest were doing at the time. It was just very frustrating to see, and I myself was frustrated, definitely. I was eagerly waiting to see our official home shirt release. I knew what the shirt was going to look like. I was just very eager to see it announced. And that was tainted by Morgan Gibbs White doing this fuckery. It did actually feel like Forest could be in a relegation scrap next season, with two of our core players, two very important players, leaving and very little activity going the other way. That was until the club leaked our transfer plans in an attempt to fight the Gibbs White story. We saw that we were looking for players, Bakayoko, bidding again for Visser, a comically low amount for some reason, looking at other players as well, James McAtee another one, possibly Harvey Elliott. The club's cooking things, okay? That's good, I'm happy. But things get even better if you're a Nottingham Forest fan. Oh boy, there's never a dull moment following this club. So as I was typing this little script I'm going off, this information came out. Nottingham Forest are considering legal action against Spurs and are reporting this to the Premier League. It is being alleged that Spurs may have tapped up Morgan Gibbs White for his transfer without notifying Forest, and without Forest giving Gibbs White permission to speak to Spurs. Forest believes there was a breach in confidentiality surrounding his release clause due to Spurs bidding exactly the right amount, despite Forest not giving the go-ahead for any of this. And the confidentiality clause would also make sense as to why a single fan did not know about this release clause. And there he was, you know, kissing the badge, living it, giving it large when he had a very small release clause ready to go. We believe this was an illegal approach. Now, this appeal could go a couple of ways, you know, either we still sell Gibbs White, but we can get much more money for him than that release clause, which I think would be warranted. He's made it clear he doesn't want to be at Forest anymore, so we should sell him, but we should look to get more money than the 60 million release clause that was supposedly in place. 80 to 85 million would be a lot more acceptable in my eyes, because that's the caliber of player he is, and that's his value to us as a team. Very, very important. And in a worst case scenario for Spurs, they won't be able to register Gibbs White if the deal is ruled as illegal, and could face a multi-window transfer ban. I'm really, really interested to see what will come of this, because it could be very, very interesting. Whatever happens though, it is absolute cinema. In my opinion, Gibbs White has burned his bridges with large swaths of the fan base, and I think the club do need to sell him, as I mentioned earlier. Hopefully we can get some more money for him and make a bit more profit, which would make sense for a player of his caliber. I'm already resigned to the fact that he's going to leave the club, but you just can't help feel like you've been betrayed. He was our captain, adored by fans, and a guaranteed starter at a club that was going on to play European football. A big club at that. I do understand that currently Spurs are a club that is just a higher caliber. They're playing in the Champions League. They've got a lot more money, and they're one of the big six. I completely get that, and I understand why he would want to go to a club that is currently bigger than the one he's at. And I'm sure tricky Tommy Tuchel had a few things in his locker about this as well. But to do it behind the club's back is just very, very scummy, and it makes it seem like he has very little respect for the club that not only took a risk on him, but also gave him a platform to perform and showcase what he was good at, which eventually landed him in the senior England squad. So I guess we'll see how all of this goes, but I don't think the fan base would be happy with Gibbs White staying at the club when his heart is clearly not in it anymore. It's a sad sight to see, you know. He was one of my favourite players for Forest. He was a joy to watch, and when he did his little skills and tricks, when they came off, they were just phenomenal. He played a brilliant ball, and it's just a shame it had to end like this. If he had open dialogue with the club, if it was amicable, then things would probably be much better between us. But that's just not the case. Also, welcome to the Madhouse, Jay Cunha. Great to have you. Enjoy your stay, because you're not going to get bored here, I'll tell you that much. Oh yeah, so while I was just finishing those off here, apparently you've been promoted to the Europa League, while Palace have been relegated down to the Conference League. This is all pending approval, of course, and Palace will no doubt contest this. But for now, we're in the Europa League, baby! What a week this has been. Oh my god. I can't wait for Chesterfield to beat us tomorrow. It's going to be phenomenal. It's never a dull day following Forest, I'll tell you what. What a club, man. Hey, Netflix, get your cameras in here, man. My god, that'd be quality viewing. But anyway, I've been O2GT. We'll see what Forest do next, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.